What's up, everybody? Welcome to another installment of Burny's Briefing Room. We have a special guest joining us today from the art team. You've probably seen some of his work in the Darkstorm Art Spotlight video or in the background of past Burny's Briefing Room podcasts. So please give a warm welcome to Tony.
Hey everybody, how you doing, Burny?
I'm doing pretty well. How's your day going so far? I know it's a
Not bad.
Monday, so
Yeah. So still trying to catch up a little bit here.
yeah, I feel you on that one. Yeah, so thanks for joining us on the show. So the community's taken, a liking to your work so far on the kind of the art that we've showcased. Can you kind of give us a little bit about your background? How did you get into 3D modeling and the game industry and everything?
Sure. I first went into graphic design school. Later found out it wasn't for me. I didn't like the way that they were teaching graphic design, and I felt like my money wasn't well spent there. So I wanted to look for different avenues in the art field. I later was introduced to game art by a family member, and I went to college for that. I fell in love ever since my first class of 3D modeling for games.
And so what was the difference between graphic design school and college 3D modeling? Like what did you see differently that attracted you more to the college experience?
Mostly when I was going to school for graphic design, I mean that was the avenue that pretty much most artists went into, was digital art and graphic design at my age. And they really pushed for that in my high school, and they said that that's one of the best avenues you can go into if you want to be an artist professionally. And again, this is the time like before games were, I mean, they were popular, but working on them wasn't really well known. Like no one, I never met anyone throughout high school or even graphic design school that even mentioned game design or game art. But after, so I'm sorry. So the main difference is graphic design is like a lot of 2D marketing type art. And I did learn a lot of great skills that I use today in 3D modeling and in especially some of our marketing banners. But I just didn't
Mhm.
have that passion and love for it like I do for 3D modeling. And I'm really glad I found 3D modeling. It's just, I have like an engineer type idea. I'm sorry, I have an engineer type of brain where I'm always thinking about the design and the functionality, especially of everything. Like when I see like a car, I'm not
Uh-huh.
seeing just the shape, language, and the design of the car. I'm thinking about like internally how is it being moved and where some tensions are and stresses are, and I get really detailed. I mean, I just really love the machinery and mechanical nature of things like that.
So why don't we move a little bit into kind of your role in War Commander?
Sure.
So how long have you actually been working on the game?
I've been here working on War Commander for a little over 2 years.
So I know we, release a lot of new units seemingly from month to month. So how long does it take you to complete a unit, going from, the standard version, Elite, and Omega?
That workflow depends on the type of unit and what's needed from that unit. So it varies as far as time. I would say about average, it takes a week, probably to a week to a little over a week to do that standard elite and omega progression.
Mhm.
And of course, that's doing the standard version first, which takes the most time because that's when we're first trying to design and come up with the look of the unit. So research is required for that and trying out different things as far as silhouette and overall shape design. But once we get that established, we move on to the elite. But lately in cases, I've moved on to the omega because due to time constraints and what comes out, like the boss version of that omega will need to be done because that's what players will be working with next. So sometimes we skip over the elite first and go right to the omega. Then after that, we just move on to the elite.
So when designing a new unit, where do you get your inspiration from?
I get my inspiration personally from just building up my visual library over the years. Ever since I was really young, I traveled the world. I've seen different things, experienced different things, and all that gets built in my brain. With my visual library. And don't forget, like I don't just look at an object and just see it for what it is. I see like the design of it, the function of it. So all that gets stored somewhere deep in the recesses of my brain to later use that in a function or a design of a unit that we're making or any project that I'll be working on.
Mm-hmm.
But taking that said, other than what's visually around me and the places that I've been, I definitely take a lot of inspiration from like Google Images anytime I'm searching for anything. If I need a specific type of gun, I'll search like sci-fi gun and see what comes up and maybe take something cool that I like on a part of that gun and just, add my own tweak to it. And then we also have a lot of art books on stockpile here. One of my favorite art books that I've used a lot for a lot of the units is what I consider the War Commander Art Reference Bible. And this book is Fallout 4 art book, I believe. It's a huge book. I think there's like 300 or 400 pages on it. I just believe like every single page on that art book is pure gold as far as design and function.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've taken a lot of reference from that as well.
Sweet. So, do you mind kind of taking us through the more detailed processes of creating, some of the art that you work on, from the beginning to the end?
Sure, no problem. First, it comes down to the designers and what they want to see in the next event. And this of course takes a lot of work and trying to figure out, and of course a massive knowledge of the game and what's been done before. But once they have an idea of what they want, either a tank or APC unit or uh, a flying VTOL unit, it can be anything, whatever they want to do, they put that into one of the spec documents that we have, along with some art reference as to kind of a general idea of what they want it to look like. Once we have that, then I start the whole researching process. I really try to understand what they want, and I try to look for references for design and shape language to see what I want to do with it, just to get things started off. Once I have an idea, that's when I start in the 3D modeling program, and I'll start modeling and designing and pretty much blocking out the overall shape of the unit. Once I have that, I'll send it to my art lead for approval. If all's a go, then I move on to texturing the unit and animating it and getting it ready for sprite making. So I've noticed a lot of people think that, or at least some people think that our game is 3D based, and it's not. It's actually a 2D image that was rendered from a 3D asset.
Hmm.
So we take the 3D asset that we make, we animate it in a 360 rotation, and render from an isometric view camera each rotation frame. And usually it can vary depending on the size of the unit and how much bandwidth we have as far as size of the sprite or the final sprite that we make. But standard is 32 rotation frames. So we render out those 32 frames, put it into a sprite maker plugin tool that we have, and it generates either how many rows or columns it will have, and the end product is this cool little sprite sheet of all the rotation frames of the sprite. I'm sorry, of the unit. Once we have that, then we just generate data from it in Photoshop. Nothing too crazy. We kind of just eyeball it, but we have to find the center mass of it, and we have to create a hitbox for it. Once all that is done, we input the data into a sprite sheet document, so the engineering team can implement that into the game. And then we see how it goes from there. And if all is well, then we move on to the next unit. If something's wrong, then we'll see what's going on and try to fix it.
Awesome. I thought it was way more simpler than that. I thought you just, I thought you just modeled the unit and then just like uploaded it into the game somehow. So that goes to show how little I know about art.
No, definitely. And actually, I'm missing a lot of steps that it takes to create the units.
Mhm.
That's the generic overall standard version of what it takes to make them.
Well, we won't bore the audience anymore with that.
Yeah, I was starting to feel I'm kind of boring people here.
Cool. So What's your favorite unit that you've worked on War Commander so far?
I have to say, my I think the funnest one that I worked on was the Rim Omega Titan skin. I don't know, I've always wanted to do skins for our units. I think it's really compelling for the players to have just a different look for their units. And it just, I don't know, refreshes everything and makes things look new or feel new at least. And they're a lot of fun to work on, especially if there's a cool theme behind it.
Mhm.
I mean, that said, it's still a challenging task. I mean, it's still fun, but it's challenging as well because then that's a whole different design set of rules and different constraints that I have to design within. But yeah, that was definitely probably my favorite unit so far to work on.
Yeah, that skin originated from our Alliance banner contests that we did, on the forums. I've been thinking about, doing more of those, so hopefully we can get something else in, into the game that's, just as cool as the Rim Titan skin.
Well, hey, I've been pushing for it, so if you can push for it, then I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah, I'll be working on it for sure.
Good man.
I've noticed that after players have watched your work on YouTube or on the forums or wherever we post it, we see a lot of them are curious about what it takes to work in the game industry as an artist, such as yourself. Can you kind of shed some light on that? What steps should people take if they want to seriously consider that as like a career option in the future?
Sure. I think main thing you need is the passion and drive to do it. If you truly love art and making art for games, then if as long as you never give up and you keep trying to get a job in this field and you keep working on your portfolio, you will definitely get a job in the field. I mean, I'm not promising, but everyone, all my friends from college and everyone that I know, those are the people who never gave up. Sure, it took some of them a long time to get in, but the ones that gave up are working in some other field now and just didn't really stick with it. So
Hmm.
I think that's really the main thing you need. I mean, other than, of course, talent goes a long way. But I mean, sure, if you're talented, but you're not fun to work with, or you don't, you're not super passionate about what you do, and the talent only goes so far. So I think if you got that hard work and dedication, then anything can happen.
Hmm. You mentioned portfolios. Is that like a pretty common thing that artists work on, in their off time when they're not at work?
Absolutely. That's the number one thing you need to get a job in this field.
Oh,
And
really?
that's the number one thing that they ask for before they even consider you. That they want to link to your portfolio to see where you stand as an artist.
Hmm.
And I mean, we can get into specifics on what you would need in in the portfolio and what type of art, but there's a lot of there's a lot of tutorials online and on YouTube. But my advice would be to just do what you most love to do, whatever. If it's fantasy, if it's like hard surface machinery, if it's creature design, whatever you really love to do that and excel in it. Become the best at it. And then you'll be specialized for that specific thing, and that's what people will want.
So you're saying my portfolio should consist of stick figures then? Because I'm very passionate about those.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's probably a game out there that needs that type of artwork, so you never know.
Sweet. I know what I'm doing tonight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of my friends, he just does foliage. He like plants and trees. He specializes in that, and he's found workflows that introduced a certain type of speed to that. So he not only can do that, but he has a way of doing it that's different from anyone else, which is ultimately faster than everyone else. So in that type of specialized thing, yeah, he gets work all the time.
So, what's the coolest thing you've done since working on War Commander in your 2 years here at Kixeye?
The coolest thing that I've done, I mean, not talking about the units. I mean, other than the units.
Yeah, it can be anything. It doesn't even have to be 3D modeling related or even War Commander related.
Oh, This is a good one. I once secretly hid an image of a stuffed bunny in one of the background maps. It was for the Easter event. And I
Hmm.
don't think anyone has found it yet. It's really well hidden, and it's you can find it if you know where you're looking.
Hmm. Can you give us any sort of hints? Which map it might be?
I don't know. I think if I say anything, I'll give it away.
We should start like a community, competition. Who can find the stuffed bunny first?
Really, you can do that?
Yeah, I think we can. I think we could probably offer some sort of prize to the first person who finds it.
That would be awesome. That would be really cool. I mean, obviously that was my intention. Not, I don't think about prizes, but I just thought it'd be cool if someone actually did find it.
Hmm.
I mean, I can give one hint.
Okay.
It's on a shelf.
Hmm. Is the map currently, being used for bases?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's all I'm going to say.
All right. So the first player who messages me, CM Burny on Discord, with a screenshot of the bunny will win 100 gold. How about that?
Wow. That's going to be fun.
And the tournament starts now. So it looks like we're running out of time, unfortunately. Do you have any, final thoughts for the players tuning in?
Yeah, you tell them that they're awesome, and I am so grateful that they are playing the game that we all work so hard to make.
Well, I don't have to tell them because you just did.
This is true.
Well, we appreciate everyone for watching today, and we hope you enjoy, your time in the sector. So, with that being said, I am CM Burny, and my friend here is Tony. So, have a good day.
See you guys.